Today on the MrMaple Show podcast, it's the Acer Rock Chronicles, Japanese maples that sound like bands.
Howdy, Maple family. How's it going? Welcome back to another MrMaple podcast. I'm kind of excited about today's topic. Got my homie Brian back in here.
Yeah, man.
And so today's topic is we're talking about how we could, how some of these names, these cultivar names, sound like band names.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're talking about like, hey, what's just a fun way to talk about maples? We talk about maples anyways already.
Yeah.
But what's a fun way to talk about them? So we said, hey, let's talk about some of these band name cultivars. But you think about it, there's so many people that I've come across that are collectors, that are gardeners, that are also musicians,
right,
or music lovers.
Right.
I mean, maybe one of the biggest one that comes to mind is George Harrison, Friar Park. He was an avid gardener. And I do know, I've been told that he even said at one point that he would rather be remembered for his gardening than his music.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun thinking about it in that way. And that's what this podcast is all about is for us to find kind of new and interesting ways to talk about plants. And it's something that people are really, really passionate about. I mean, for me personally, I've gotten grown into such a passionate mindset about plants and the world of plants. But you could say the same thing about music. I mean, people, it's something that connects people worldwide is the love of music, and plants kind of play into that same category. I mean, it's a worldwide thing. People can appreciate the beauty of Japanese maples. They're some of the most popular plants in the world for good reason. They're beautiful. And they play such an important role in the kind of the symphony of your landscape and how they're applied. And we just thought it'd be cool to hang out with you guys and talk about cultivar names that remind us of, like, man, these could potentially be a great band name.
And I might have to use one of these sometime in the future to, like, hey, we're the so-and-sos, But before we jump into the list of those, we do have a couple honorable mentions that we need to talk about. And the first one was, like, when we started talking about this topic, this was actually the first one that popped in my head. But I'm like, well, this really isn't a cultivar. This is a species. But, man, if I was going to put together a metal band, Acer Diabolicum.
Acer Diabolicum. I mean, just the name is just so diabolic, right? And I was kind of refreshing myself on this tree because, one of the reasons why they named it that is because the seeds have these hooks that look like horns or devil horns.
And they'll get you too.
And they'll get you. But we're all, familiar with, you throw up the devil horns at the metal show and rock out and do a little head banging and all that. But Acer Diabolicum, super cool tree. I mean, when this thing leaves out, it looks really, really weird. It's kind of got this dark kind of chocolate color, very like pubescent, very kind of hairy looking leaf when it's unfurling. It looks totally crazy. Big leaf on that. So yeah, it definitely kind of reminds you of what that, a metal band, a hair metal band, would definitely, that name would go well with that.
Now, I do need to mention, a lot of times with Acer Palmatum, we talk zones 5 through 9. Now, this one as a species, we're talking about zones 6 through 8, talking about 10 to 15 foot in 10 years. So there's a little bit difference between a Palmatum, but man, one, just an awesome tree, and two, a really cool name.
Yeah. So we can just kind of keep cruising on this list, guys. We got a pretty good list here. We got another honorable mention here. This is a plant that was named by Mr. Maple. an Area 151 introduction here. We got Acer Palatum Gold Digger. Now, we all know the song, but we're like, it's kind of an honorable mention. A great name on a tree. This has got a beautiful golden colored bark, coral bark variety. Really nice chartreuse green with a little bit of a border in the spring. Just an all-around killer tree. I love a good coral bark, especially one that's, a good, strong, vigorous grower like Gold Digger is.
And then another honorable mention, it's a song. And by a legendary, we're talking Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Like we talk about rock and roll.
Yeah.
We talk about blues. We can talk about, the early days of developing metal. How many metal bands and different bands trace there, but Kashmir, killer song, but also a killer tree. And Kashmir is one of those that's, if you don't have it in your garden, you should have it.
Oh, definitely, man. This thing is really, really cool. Really nice, fine linear lobum style Japanese maple. And the leaf on it, man, is so odd. It like twists and curls. So you have these really long, skinny lobes, and then they like corkscrew twist. It's just totally cool. And then when it goes to that golden fall color, it's absolutely amazing. The texture is off the charts. The name is a great name for that cultivar. And it just made us think of some music, man. You got to give a shout out to Led Zeppelin. They laid so much groundwork there for like that blues, rock and roll style of music that we all have grown to love. And another great honorable mention.
So let's go ahead and jump right into so this is 20 trees, and I wouldn't say they're like we listed them in any particular order.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to, like with the band names, like how do you say this is our number one?
Right.
But there's 20 of them that make us think of either like a type of genre or a type of a band or even like a type of person that would perform.
Right.
So coming in at number 20, we have Acer Palmatum Heartbeat.
Heartbeat, man. Yeah, it immediately I think of the band Heart, back in the day,
He was a magic man.
Oh, absolutely. That kind of like, that style of music, I think so many people grew up listening to that. So it kind of just gives you those vibes. And Heartbeat's a beautiful tree, man. It's a nice, bold red color coming out in the spring. Really nice, fine lace leaf Japanese maple. So you have that weeping, cascading habit to it, which really plays into that name, that heartbeat. It kind of pulls at your heart and gets you excited about, Japanese maples. And when you see this thing leafing out, you're going to get excited about it.
Yeah, it's one of those that I actually think that, when we talk about these lace leaves and red lace leaves, I actually think this one, like that, especially in the early spring, is even more of a bold red than compared to the other lace leaves.
Yeah, it really does put on a show in that color. I think, it's one of the newer kind of up and coming lace leaves that I think is going to gain popularity as more people grow it and they kind of experience what it does. But yeah, great name, Heartbeat. It was so much fun coming up with this. Me and Sean came up with this idea. We're like, dude, let's throw together some trees that remind us of great band names. And next on our list, this will be number 19. We have Dixie Delight.
Yeah, man. The other day I went to the concert. I saw Marshall Tucker Band and Dixie Delight.
Delight.
Doesn't that just sound like, like, hey, man, I went to go see Dixie Delight.
Dude, the flat guitar picker on that band was killing it, right? Definitely kind of gives you that like nice country band vibe there. Dixie Delight, really, really cool tree. Another coral bark variety.
On that yellow side.
Definitely in the kind of that yellow side. And to me, I think coral barks are so cool with maples because they give you a winter interest. And most maples, unless it's like a structural thing, your coral barks are the ones that really give you that true like winter interest when all the leaves have fell and it's done its big spring show, it's done its big fall show. You still got something really interesting left there with that structure left behind with those glowing yellows and oranges and that bark color. Dixie Light's cool, man. Another great tree with a great name.
One of those that's zone 6 through 9. So, again, we kind of do a blanket statement with the Palmatums 5 through 9. So if we come across one that's a little bit different, we'll be sure to let you know. Otherwise, think 5 through 9. But this is one 6 through 9. You want to keep that. But like you say, man, we talk a lot about that winter interest, and this is another one. Distinct colors that can give you that same stuff. Hey, man, take one of these and put it up against like Cupid,
right?
Or like or like Little Sango,
right?
Which Little Sango, that could be a rapper.
That could be a rapper,
yeah. but you can pair them up with that with some type of like blue conifer behind it to really make it pop during those winter months. You always have that symphony going in your garden.
Yeah, that's what's great about Japanese maples, man. There's so many different ways you can use them in your garden, and each individual cultivar has such specific characteristics, and that's what's cool about it. It's like, if you're looking for a certain color, or you're looking for a certain texture, you can just browse through the thousands of different cultivars of Japanese maple, and you're going to find something that fits what you're looking for. The color, the texture, that growth habit. It's amazing to me that we have such diversity in Japanese maple. So I guess next on our list here would be number 18 here. We got Acer Palatum Jubilee.
Yeah, man. I mean, so now we're getting into that, thing about rock and roll, man, especially that era. I know we went through that grunge era where like everything got pulled back, but right before that, man, rock and roll was flashy, right?
Yeah,
rock and roll was flashy.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're talking about that reticulation, and we're talking about that pink reticulation in the spring. Jubilee is going to bring that.
Yeah.
I mean, just a killer tree that's going to bring that rock and roll flash to your garden.
Yeah, I can imagine, the big, hair, dyed hair, with the colored guitar, with the stripes on it. And
Fireworks.
I mean, big show stuff there with Jubilee. Such a great tree. Reticulated types of maples are, we're getting to a point now where we have so many of them out there that we've, kind of colored the whole color spectrum has been covered, I mean, and Jubilee plays a vital part in that. I think that's what, we're looking for when we get into the reticulated types. It's like, okay, what kind of color transitions does this one go through? And does it kind of cover a gap maybe that, maybe Amber Ghost doesn't quite get there yet on that color, or some of these others, so it's cool to, I don't really think it's trying to make, something better like the reticulated types. You're not trying to get better. It's trying to give you variety. You know what I mean? Like you're playing into like, hey, this one has a really nice shade of pink. This one goes to more red. There's a lot of different styles out there. But I like the fact that, we're trying to cover all the bases within the reticulated type. So I think the way to approach it is, if you're wanting a reticulated Japanese maple, just kind of browse through the many options that you have and then pick the right one for you.
And with Jubilee, that's a Talon Buckles introduction.
Right.
And, you brought it up, the Ghost series, and we talk about the Ghost series, but this is one of those, new Ghost, doesn't have the Ghost name on it. But we're talking about a dude, I mean, a lot of people have brought that reticulated maple to the market, but I would have to say Talon is the numero uno.
Oh yeah.
So over the years, all those different reticulated that he's introduced, for him to see another reticulated one and say that is worthy of introduction, that you've got a tree that's going to put on that show.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Moving right along here, we got Acer Palmatum La Diable. Right? I mean,
yeah, man.
This one's like giving me like some speed metal vibes or something,
right?
One of the things that makes me think of that is this plant is like super vigorous. Like it gets out there so quick. Some of the 1 gallons that we have here at the farm, dude, like they grow to an XL size so quickly. It's like we have to continuously up pot and put them into bigger containers because they just really get out there. But this is a kind of a spring interest variety. You get some nice kind of pinks and oranges in the spring. But to me, what has been the biggest like defining characteristics that I've noticed around the farm is that it's just a vigorous tree. Like it can handle the heat. It's very vigorous and puts on a lot of good structural branching. But I mean, like I said, it's just like that fast. If you want to get a maple that gets out there fast, La Diable.
Yeah, man. And you talk about that spring interest, you got those kind of yellows with those kind of fingernail, reds around it, man. Right. And I love that with that spring interest. It really makes everything just really, really pop. Awesome choice. And like you say, man, like I hear that and to me, it just sounds like a band name, right?
It does, man.
So this next one, moving on down the list, we have Acer Palmatum Lionheart. Now that, to me, that sounds like, like almost kind of like that theater rock. I mean, I really don't know like genre wise, but almost kind of makes me think of like Lionheart, Meatloaf, the Meatloaf, like all that, that theatrics. Not just the music or the show, but that theatrics.
Absolutely.
Alice Cooper has all that theatrics. When I hear Lionheart, I kind of think that in that realm.
I totally get that vibe too. And what's cool about it, the tree kind of matches with that vibe too. It's a lace leaf Japanese maple, but it's one of the few that has a more upright shape to it overall. It's not a true upright lace leaf, but it's about as close as you can get to that. In the market right now. So it kind of set itself apart in that category of being a lace leaf that gives you a more upright spreading habit than like the typical weeping, cascading, mounding style of lace leaf. So really, really cool, man. I love the Lionheart name. I think that just really talks to the strength of that tree. And it's a cool plant, man, for sure.
For this one, to me, we were talking about those spring interests and stuff like that. And to me, this is one of those also that hits that spring interest because the shade of pink that it puts out as its spring growth is a different type of pink than the other red lace leaves that are out there. It's a different type of pink that really, really, really shows off. And then once you get into those summers, it'll kind of darken to that more traditional red, but then you get that same type of pink new growth on top of that during the summer. So you kind of get this two-tone leaf leaf with this pink and red kind of going on. Really, really killer tree.
Absolutely. All right, guys, so we're moving along here. We got Acer Palmatum MrMaple. Now, me and Sean both kind of laughed at this one. We're like, this has got to be like, a rapper, a female rapper out there, MrMaple dropping some beats and, laying down some tracks. I can just imagine that in my mind.
It is. Well, I kind of think of like MrMaple, MrMaple cut a track and had Missy Elliott on it. It's kind of like, that's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, it's a great tree too. I mean, this is another Talon Buchholz introduction. Absolutely beautiful, like these like soft kind of baby pinks and almost kind of these like blondish yellow tones underneath that. This is one that I sometimes would describe as like alien skin.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's got this weird texture. You can see all the veining in it. It's almost like you can see through the leaf itself to kind of expose all the veining in it.
Well, what I find fascinating with this one is this is a seedling, a chance seedling from Purple Ghost.
Right.
And how purple that darker purple variegation, but then you get this MrMaple, which especially you get some of that creamy kind of reticulation on it, and I'll never claim to be a smart man, so I don't understand how you go from that as a seedling to that, but coming from Purple Ghost, but man, it is such a shower in the garden. And to me, this is one of those that you can kind of put in some of those darker spots, because like if you get it into a darker, shadier spot, you're going to go to that green, but you're still going to get that creamy kind of reticulation that shows, even if once it kind of goes to that green spot.
No, I think you're right. I think that one's one you can tuck into the shade, and it's not going to change the plant too much. Sometimes, like if you have like a red or something like that, and you put it in too much shade, you get more greens, and you kind of lose that main characteristic. But with MrMaple, you're still going to get strong reticulation in the shade. You're still going to get those nice kind of soft pinks in the spring. And then going to some really nice scarlet reds in the fall. So it's a showy maple for sure. And I think one that definitely needed to be on this list. I mean, we needed to, a little bit of rap in there to mix up the music genre, right?
That's right. Hey, man, like, I've always said this, that, like, there's a lot of music out there, but to me, genre doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's a good song,
if
it's a good band, if it's a good rapper, it's good. And when you hear it, you know it's good. And that's just like Japanese maples. When you see one and you know that it performs well, that it looks great, it's the same thing. When you see a good Japanese maple, you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving right along here, we got Acer Palatum Psy. Now, this is a cool Japanese maple. This one always gets my attention whenever I see it out in the greenhouse. But yeah, Psy, I mean, a great name. It makes me think of, like, some other music, like, Patsy Cline, and, like, there's some other things out there that just reminds me of that.
See, that's weird, like, because to me, when I think of Patsy, I'm thinking of, like, that 70s era punk.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you go say this, like,
that.
going to see, and man, I went to go see Patsy play. Like I hear that, and I think that, those strong fast power chord punk.
Right.
I
like it. But yeah, it's a cool tree, man. This thing's got a really small leaf, super, like, chopped up and serrated edges on it. Like, it just has a cool texture. Really nice, bright colors in spring with a little bit of a kind of an orange to red border on that leaf as well. But just texture wise, it's crazy. It reminds me of, like, it kind of gives you those Secorei vibes, but it's not super lace leaf like Secorei, but it gives you those vibes because the leaf is so cut up and serrated edge.
To me, I think of, especially with the colors that it does, you've got that Secorei kind of vibe, but, like, leaf color almost makes me think of, like, what you'd get out of, like, Dragon Master, or what you'd get out of, like, Golden Falls in the spring, where you kind of got that more yellow, light green color with that border on it, but totally different leaf shape, especially with that serrated lace leaf, going on, or lace leaf look going on. I mean, and then, as a band name, that'd be a great band name.
Be a great band name. All right, so moving along here, guys, we're going to try to keep this thing rolling. We got a good list of trees here for you today. We've got Acer Palatum Sister Ghost.
Man, Sister Ghost, when I hear Sister Ghost, I immediately go to that, like, early 2000s, mid 2000s new metal.
Right.
Like, I could see, like, going to a concert, one of those new metal shows, you've got Sister Ghost playing.
Sister Ghost, yeah, definitely, man. And what a great tree. I mean, what I like about Sister Ghost is it really puts on a show. Its spring is just absolutely crazy. We've got some pictures here that Talon's taken of Sister Ghost, and it just blows my mind that you're able to get that much color variance in that with these whites, green veining. I mean, this thing just absolutely crazy reticulation, very strong reticulation on this plant. And I mean, one of the most popular ghosts out there.
I really like, this is one of those that, we talk about the different ghosts, but to me, I think Sister Ghost is one of my favorite in terms of habit, the way it grows, how you get that semi-pendulous, where it wants to be kind of upright, but doesn't totally want to be an upright, but then it's malleable. You get those early ones that you could actually play with this one and kind of shape it for your garden and for yourself. And I think that's a special feature about Sister Ghost.
Yeah, it kind of gives you almost, it has really sharply divided lobes, and just kind of gives you like almost more of that Matsumura style leaf. On a reticulated type, which is really interesting on that. We recently planted a Sister Ghost in our garden. We have kind of a ghost theme in the ghost garden up in the shade, and definitely one you got to have in your collection. I mean, Sister Ghost, Talon Buchholz's introduction, and if he puts a name on it, it's worthy.
So this next one, moving right along, man, totally, we're back into that metal. We're talking about But this one, wait, before I go on, this one has superpowers too.
It does.
This one has superpowers. So, but we're talking about Acer Diabolicum Hazelkiss,
man. I mean, that just sounds like a metal band. I like diving into like these like rarely heard like metal bands. I like to get into like a Discovery Channel on my playlist and just like dive into some metal bands. And I feel like Hazelkiss has popped up before, and I've heard a couple of their songs. You know, you know what I mean? Like, they're really good. I mean, super heavy. You know, lots of good drums on that, and their voice. You know, that screaming voice. You can't go wrong with that. But no, Hazelkiss, man, great name. Really cool tree. I'm glad we were able to find. I think this definitely speaks into the band name Cultivars.
It really does. But what I really like about this as a tree, not as a band, but as a tree, is that when I said like it's got superpowers, since it's a Pseudociobolianum, we're talking about zones 4 through 9. So we're getting down into that zone 4. So we're talking about a tree that has ornamental value, and especially when we talk about ornamental value in the falls, those yellows that it kind of goes to, stuff like that. But now we're talking about that our brothers and sisters, our maple brothers and sisters in those colder climates have a tree that has ornamental value for the landscape. And ultimately, that's what we're when we talk about cultivars and the differences between them and what they do, we're talking about that ornamental value and what it can bring to the landscape. And ultimately, isn't that what you're looking for your garden, is the ornamental value or the aesthetics that it brings? Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, Hazelkiss is a very strong grower too. It can get out there really quick. Like you said, the fall color on it, I think, is underrated. You know, a lot of those Pseudociobolianums have just fantastic fall color to them. Nice mix of colors, you know, yellows and oranges, a little bit of red sprinkled in there. So nice mix of colors on that tree. A good, strong, upright grower. All right, guys, moving along here, we've got Purple Thunder.
Now, you know, I think I saw Purple Thunder open up for AC/DC once.
Yeah, they can just play lightning sounds and like thunder sounds the whole time, and you know, I think we'd all get the point. But yeah, Purple Thunder, man, super cool name. Definitely could see that as a band, you know, opening up on stage. You know, just start hearing the rumbles of this thunder playing through the stadium.
Right.
Then, you know, and then they come out with a nice lick right off the bat, get the crowd going, Purple Thunder. But cool tree, man. This thing is really, really nice. You got a sheer Sawanum hybrid. So you get a little Palmatum, you get a little sheer Sawanum. These kind of big purple Matsumura style leaves on it. It just gives it a great texture, great color.
You know, I think it's been later in my Japanese maple or my maple journey, if you want to call it that, and I've really been coming to appreciate these purples and not just, you know, we could talk about purples and there's, you know, different shades of purple, but this is on that darker side. This is kind of almost that kind of like that, that black purple. And from a landscaper standpoint, you know, a lot of people think like, oh, well, this is just going to make a garden dark. And this is one of those, it's that dark colored leaf, but it's all about how you pair it.
Yeah.
So if you put this up against something that is green, or you put this up against something that's yellow, but then some of these are so purple, man, if you put it up against a blood good, even a red color, the contrast is still so dynamic. So don't downplay something that has that dark purplish kind of blackish kind of look, because you could do so much in the landscape in terms of color and contrast. And this is one of those with that leaf size, that leaf shape, the texture of it. They all play off of each other, and how you pair it with other things is going to make not just Purple Thunder pop, but it's going to make everything else around it pop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I love the fact that, you know, when it comes to getting into maples, like if you're just getting into maples, you kind of are stepping into a world that maybe you don't even understand just the scope and the size of that world of maples and how diverse it is. But that kind of leads us perfectly into this next one. We're kind of talking about purple, but there's similarities, but then we like to highlight the differences, right? So we just had Purple Thunder, and now we've got Purple Velvet, which Purple Velvet, Acer Shirasawa and Purple Velvet, what a great name. This reminds me more of like a psychedelic band.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a psychedelic band with some laser light show and like some Pink Floyd or something. You know what I mean? Like some Purple Velvet. I could see Purple Velvet opening up for Pink Floyd. Great band.
Well, you know what's really interesting is that we just talked about Purple Thunder, but now we're talking about Purple Velvet. And I think that, from like its lineage, it has a lot in common, but that leaf shape are worlds apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Whereas Purple Thunder, you're getting that kind of hybrid, more Matsumura style. You get a lot more Palmatum influence into it. Whereas Purple Velvet's giving you that traditional full moon leaf, but in a dark purple red color. So you get kind of a nice mix of those two influences together. And what I like about Purple Velvet, man, is like it gives you like so many transitions of color. Like in the spring, you have these real vibrant purple red colors. Then you get into the summer months and you get like these dark greens with this like dark purple blush over top of it. So like, it just continuously, it plays into that name, the effect of what you're experiencing with that plant.
What I really appreciate about this one as well is a lot of times when we talk about anything that's on that red or kind of that purple color, that we talk about like how the spring color is, then it goes to that green. And usually we talk about how, when we get back into those fall colors, how it goes to this big red color. But this is one that goes to a big yellow color.
Yeah.
And, a yellow fall, especially if you have all these other trees in your landscape that go to those red, and then you add that yellow in with it, that's just game changing.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're moving along here. The next on our list, we got Acer Truncatum Urban Sunset. All right, Sean, I got to ask you, what kind of music vibes you getting on this one?
So Urban Sunset, man, like honestly, like when I hear Urban Sunset, I kind of think of like that, like new age jazz. All right. Like you get what I'm saying? It's like, hey, new age jazz. We're talking Urban Sunset.
Right, man. Come in and enjoy the vibes of Urban Sunset here today. But really cool tree, guys. We've got some of these available here at the farm. These are like a street tree, man. So they're very heat tolerant. This is an Acer Truncatum. So very, very heat tolerant plant, but it gives you a little bit different color on that leaf. You kind of get some darker tones rather than just those traditional greens that you would expect on an Acer Truncatum.
And, for me, the truncatums, the big thing for me, we can talk about spring color, fall color, summer color, all those different things. But to me, just the foliage texture, the way that leaf is so, to me, another one of those, you're looking for that texture in the garden. We're not talking about the color of it, but that texture in the garden. Man, those truncatums game changer.
Yeah, I love that kind of like glossy leaf that it has. It has a really nice shine to that leaf. And then with this particular variety, what I was talking about with the colors is you get more of those darker like reds and things like that with your fall color. Typically, your truncatums are going to go to yellows. Most of them go to yellows, just a straight species. But we're starting to get a lot of cultivars out there that's like highlighting specific fall colors as it's characteristic that we're trying to feature with this tree. And Urban Sunset definitely does that. You get some bold red colors in the fall, and then that really heat tolerant glossy leaf throughout the spring and summer. So great tree for that.
So talking about heat tolerant, that actually kind of leads into this next one. And for me, this next one, it almost makes me want to go to the Caribbean, makes me want to go to Jamaica. Because when I hear this one, I think of like a reggae band, but Acer Palmatum Moonfire.
I like it. Yeah, great name for a reggae band. Do a little Moonfire. This is a cool tree, guys. This is a red upright, very kind of traditional style Japanese maple. I mean, red uprights are some of the most popular Japanese maples in the world, really. I mean, you see them everywhere in the landscapes. And Moonfire kind of just gives you a little bit something different than your typical Bloodgood. Just giving you some really nice reds in the spring. And, I really think that, Moonfire just kind of plays into that. It's a little bit more of a medium-sized tree. You're looking at 10 feet in 15 years, so it's not going to get too big. Whereas I've seen some big Bloodgoods, I've seen them get some good size over the years. So this gives you kind of a more medium-sized tree.
And I think this is one of those that, like I mentioned before, when you mentioned, heat tolerant with that truncatum. This is one of those, I think, as a red, that sometimes, certain ones are a little bit more prone to heat. And remember, I like to remind people, when we say heat tolerant, there is a difference between sun tolerant and heat tolerant.
Yeah, right.
So don't make them one term. There is some crossover, but this is one of those, I think, that in that red category tends to lend itself as a great heat tolerant tree.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're moving right along here, trying to get through this list. We got an awesome cultivar for you. We got Acer Palmatum Punkill.
So, in 1992, I went to the Argonne Ballroom and I saw Primus, Nirvana, and Punkill play.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound, I saw Punkill play, no. But, hey, man, we're talking about Punkill, man. We're getting into that linear lobum world, man. Yeah. And, and then we're talking about a red. We talk a lot about those linear lobums that are green. But now, we need to pair something up, get in that red world. Punkill, absolutely killer.
Yeah, I love the linear lobum style Japanese maples, man. They just have such a different texture than other things in your garden. That long strap leaf, it's just wild, man. And what's interesting about it is, like, you get that kind of playing in the weather with the wind and things like that, just the way that tree moves out in your landscape. And it draws your eye in too, because that texture is different. You're typically seeing those larger leaves on something. So when you have that texture break like that, your eye is drawn to it immediately. And you can see those long, skinny lobes just hanging down. Now, I've got a Punkill planted in my garden. I've got it paired up with the yellow threads.
I was just thinking about that. As you were saying, I'm like, I know you got one with that yellow thread.
Dude, and it's so cool to see, the red form of that linear lobum and then the golden yellow form of the linear lobum. Absolutely love it, man. Punkill sounds like an awesome band. I can't wait till the tickets go on sale and they go on tour, right?
Right. And I also think that with like Punkill, there's a lot of people that ask about the reds, the linear lobum reds, and just a lot of stuff, if they're shaded out, or just it's what happens that they have that red color in the spring, or that kind of that purple color in the spring, and you get into summer and you start to go green. And I think Punkill is one of those that in the red linear lobums that does really well with holding that red color as we get into that summer heat, as we get into that time of year. It's one of those that even when we walk into a 50% shaded poly house, that's still holding that red color.
They're really good for that. I mean, I have mine planted in a very shaded location. I've got 2 large native maples in my front yard. So they're huge shade trees, and I've have the Punkill planted underneath that, and it's still got some really nice bold red colors right now. So definitely holds its color well, and just a strong growing tree. You can get about 10 to 12 feet in 15 years. Really, really nice cultivar.
Now, this one could either be a band name or an innuendo, but we're bringing you Rustling in the Pink.
Rustling in the Pink, man. I mean, I'm trying to think of what band this would be, what kind of music they would play, but definitely I could maybe thinking in that punk kind of poppy punk band or something like that.
I could see that. I could see it kind of like that Blink 182,
right,
kind of
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, something in that vein. But this tree is cool, man. This is one that I think is so underrated. And I say that because for me, every time I see a really nice set of these, I ask myself, how come I don't have one of these in my collection? Because it has a really, really nice pink color in the spring, and it has this kind of an odd shaped smaller leaf too, which gives it a nice kind of ruffled texture on the plant itself. And I definitely think, this plays into the list that we have today. I love the name Rustling in the Pink. We always kind of snicker and giggle when we have this on our pool list.
We turn into junior high kids in the locker room again.
All right, guys. So moving down the list here, the next one. This is a great one. This came from Matt Nichols. He had this one as a recommendation. But we got Angel the Prince, Acer Palmatum, Angel the Prince.
Man, you say like, because we're talking about like putting together this list. Like that sound like the band names, and how about this one? How about this one? And like you say, Matt, and he said, you gotta have this on the list. And the moment he said it, it was almost like, like, why didn't I think about that? Like, that is like to me, that is almost like the perfect band name, especially if you're starting, we just, this week as this is being recorded, lost Ozzy. Yeah. And it's almost, to me, it's almost kind of in that realm of not quite metal, but on the brink of before metal, right?
Yeah, and Angel the Prince is like an amazing cultivar. Like, I think this one was like a shock and awe moment for me whenever I first saw this in the greenhouses, because I wasn't familiar with it. It's a newer cultivar. This is some years back, but I remember capturing some pictures online of this, and we'll have to throw some up for the YouTube channel on the podcast video. But dude, this thing looks like a leaf that's wearing clown makeup. It's got purples and yellows and oranges and reds all mixed into that leaf. And it's kind of got this weird small like leaf that kind of curls and twists and kind of ruffles just a little bit. And it's so dense and compact. It just looks amazing.
And, just to be aware, this tree is sold under a couple different names out there. But we do know that, so it was found and introduced by Joel Johnson, and Joel Johnson is the farm manager, general manager out at the Buckles Farm.
Buckles Nursery, yeah.
So he's an employee of Matt and Tim. So we know from the source that the true real name should be Angel the Prince. Like I say, we've heard that, like the Dark Prince or or Angel the Dark Prince, but we've got from good authority from Angel himself and from Joel that this is the correct name.
Such a great tree, man. All right, guys, we're moving along here. The next one, I had to put this on the list. I'm like, we can't have a list without like something crazy like this. We got Acer Palmatum Germain's Gyration, right? I mean, this is like, this name is such an odd name for a tree, right? But it would be a great name for a band.
You say that like for a band, it makes me think of like Talking Heads, right? Like something in that realm of Talking Heads, Germain's Gyration. But man, you're talking about just a really, really awesome tree, because the habit of it is so grand looking, and it happens at a much quicker pace than most other Japanese maples.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to lace leaves, we always talk about this. This is one of the fastest growing lace leaf Japanese maples out there available. And, honestly, every time I see a specimen of these, I'm just blown away at the structure of just how amazing that weeping, cascading, mounding habit looks. Especially you get through that fall, that amazing yellow fall color on that thing, and then when all those leaves fall, you get to see that perfect, amazing structure to it. I think, when it comes to lace leaves, it's one of the best out there.
Absolutely. And, like, what's really cool about this is one of those that, again, is one of those malleable trees.
Yeah, for sure.
That you can kind of play with it. You can use your imagination. You can use your creativity to kind of create a shape with this, because like I say, it turns and twists, but it's such, compared to other Japanese maples, such a quick grower that you can get a really, really cool shape from a really short time. We have some that that we stake up to give it some height before it heads out and gets all twisty and turny. Just a really, really killer tree that you could really put your own creative twist on with it.
Yeah. And that leads us right here to the next one on our list is going to be Acer Palmatum Secorei, which made me think of like some kind of another like metal band. You know, they always come up with these weird names for these metal bands.
I can see the font already.
Right,
That brick kind of like font already.
Exactly. But what's cool about this is we got 2 lace leaves back to back here, green lace leaves, but dude, they couldn't be any more different. I mean, Secorei is going to be more of your dwarf variety. It's going to be more of a low weeping, mounding, cascading style. You know, you're talking about, you know, way of a smaller structure than Germain's Gyration. Germain's going to get out there quick, a lot more kind of open, airy feel to Germain's over time, whereas Secorei is going to be more dense and compact.
Yeah, and this is one of those, I think, that like if you have it sited in your garden in a spot that kind of gets that evening, you know, as the sun is going down, shining over it, this is one of those that if you get that light kind of coming off of it, really, really makes this tree shine. It almost looks like the tree will be shining in your landscape, in your garden. Just a killer tree. And, you know, it's one of those that if you don't have, put on your list and keep track of, because it's one of those that it's just not as widely found in the trade. A lot of people don't produce it. Here at MrMaple, we try to keep everything keep going. So if we don't have it, if there's any of these trees that are on this list that, you know, I really like that, want to check it out, we don't have it, sign up for our newsletter. You'll be the first to know. Or hit that notify me button. You'll be notified when it comes back into stock. But this is one of those, man, I don't see it out there a lot.
No, it is one that's very underused and kind of underappreciated, I think, in the lace leaf. One of the most consistent, like bright yellow fall colors on a lace leaf Japanese maple. And I think, you know, it has a little bit smaller of a leaf too when it comes to the dissected leaf to it. So it kind of sets itself apart from some of the other green lace leaves out there, but definitely one you need to add to your list. All right, guys, moving right along here, we got Acer Palmatum Crimson Prince. Now this one came to my mind because we just lost the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah. So this is kind of like a shout out to him and all the music he provided over the years. But you know, this has such a dark kind of black, deep red color on the Japanese maple, upright, really cool leaf. I mean, it kind of has this like sheen or shine on that leaf that gives it just a little bit brighter of a color of red because you get that reflection from the shine.
So, you know, you'll need to go back to a couple episodes, or maybe last week. I don't know when this one will air, but Matt and Tim recently did a podcast on Japanese maples that really, really hold up in the shade. If you have a deep shaped canopy, what are those maples that are really going to show out in that shade? Because we, as you know, we talked about some turn green, some of them may not, you know, will fill with more chlorophyll. So, but this is one, Crimson Prince is one of those that showed up on that list for that deep shade garden, because compared to some of the other reds that are out there that are going to turn green, this one truly stands up to that shaded garden and holds that red so well. But then also that shape on it it's an upright, but it's more of that vase shape,
right?
So it fits those, you know, canopy areas or those smaller shaded areas where you're not going to be able to put a blood good in or something like that. But if you do have that shaded area, a tighter spot, great selection.
All right, guys. So last one on the list. We are down to the last one here. And this one right here, we had to throw a conifer in here to mix in a little bit of, give the conifer some love. But we got Cedrus deodara Divinely Blue. Now this one kind of made me think of like, you know, a contemporary modern Christian band, you know, Divinely Blue, you know. I could see.
I mean, we've been doing a lot of metal and talking about the devil horn and stuff like that. We need to,
I could see some hands going up in the crowd, doing a little praise Jesus out there. But Divinely Blue, really cool. Cedrus deodara. I love the real traditional cedar trees out there. This gives you some amazing blue colors. Every time I see that set that we have out there, it really draws my attention because you get into, especially like Cedrus, you get into that, there's a lot of different variety of color. You can get like Aria is a nice golden form of that. I mean, you can get into some different colors. So I was thinking about how important it is to get those variety of colors in conifers. You get your yellows, your blues, your kind of like frosted green, you know what I mean? Like there's so much great color variety out there, and Divinely Blue does a great job providing a nice kind of frosted blue color in your garden.
And I'm really glad that, when we were putting together this list, we were all kind of throwing different names in, like, hey, what about this? And I'm glad you threw this in because you talk about those blue colors. Well, for how long's time, the blue Japanese maple, the blue. Well, sometimes there might be some greens in Japanese maple that might kind of have a kind of blue green kind of tint but it's not a true blue,
right?
And the only way that you're going to get some of these colors and these blues is to go into that conifer world, and Divinely Blue is one of those. We talked about with those coral barks. Well, here you go, you got something that you can throw in there.
Exactly,
that's that true blue. And like I say, some of those colors you talk about, the only way you're truly ever only going to get those colors in is going that conifer route.
Absolutely. Man, this has been a lot of fun, guys. This has been a cool way to just kind of break down a list of trees and hang out with you guys, talk about it. It's just cracking me up just thinking about and you're right, dude. I think we should, if we ever decide to get together and start a band, we got a cool way to come up with our band name.
We got a good list started.
That's one of the hardest things to come up with when the band is the band name. You spend a lot of time trying, what about this name? What about this name? Well, now we got a nice system here. We can try to narrow it down a little bit.
And, if any of you out there think hey, man, there's this killer band name and it's a Japanese maple and we don't have it on our list, let us know. Comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think would be a really cool band name / cultivar Japanese maple name as well. Or it doesn't even have to be a Japanese maple. It could be, we got Divinely Blue on there. It could be a conifer, but what are some of these names that you could see being a band name? Let us know.
Man, this podcast is always so much fun to get in here and hang out with my homie Sean. And we're always figuring out something cool to talk about. We could talk about plants all day with you guys. It's so much fun, man, just to have this access for everybody to come in, hang out. All of our plant friends out there come in and support us so much. We appreciate that here on the MrMaple Show and on the podcast. Our podcast is some of our most favorite videos and audio out there. So we really appreciate all of you guys' support, man. We're always trying to find new and interesting ways to talk about plants.
And, remember to we got to go through this, but subscribe, and share. Help us spread the word of Mr. Maple. But, in all honesty, we could not do this without any of you out there. You all make this possible. So we are truly grateful that, I love being able to come in here and work with plants every day and talk about plants every day and be part of it. And I feel blessed because you all make that possible for us to do that. We are truly, truly appreciative of that. Y'all take care.
God bless.
Rock on and have a great day.